Good day, sir and colleagues. My name is Asana Salifu, and today I will be presenting my report on climate regulation and carbon pricing and their strategic implications for the global oil and gas industry, using Shell PLC as a case study. Introduction. First, I will define the external environmental issue. The key issue in this report is climate regulation and pricing. Climate regulation refers to government policies aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions, while carbon pricing means companies must pay for the amount of carbon dioxide they emit. This issue is strategically significant because it directly affects how companies operate, invest, and compete, especially in industries that rely heavily on fossil fuels like oil and gas. The selected industry for this report is the global oil and gas industry, and the selected company is Shell PLC, one of the world's largest energy companies. The purpose of this report is to analyze how climate regulation and carbon pricing are affecting the industry and to evaluate how Shell is responding strategically. Real life example. In Ghana, when fuel prices increase due to global changes, transport fare also rise. Now imagine adding carbon taxes. Fuel becomes even more expensive. This shows how climate policy affects both businesses and everyday life. Then analysis of the external environmental issue. The origin of climate regulation is based on scientific findings from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which confirms that human activities are the main cause of global warming. This led to global agreements like the Paris Agreement, where countries committed to limiting global warming and achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Carbon pricing and its implemented through Carbon pricing and its implemented through carbon taxes, emission trading system. A key example is the European Union emissions trading system, where companies must buy permits to emit carbon. Recent developments include the Inflation Reduction Act in the US supporting clean energy, the US carbon the European Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, increased global carbon pricing coverage, short-term implication, increased cost of companies, long-term implication, reduced demand for fossil fuels. Real life example. A cement factory that emits a lot of pollution must now pay taxes for emissions. To reduce costs, it may switch to cleaner technology. Now the industry level impact. Climate regulation is transforming the oil and gas industry. First, competitive dynamics are changing because renewable energy like solar and wind is becoming cheaper. Second, cost structures are increasing due to carbon pricing. Third, customer behavior is changing as people prefer cleaner energy sources. Fourth, there are regulatory pressures, including stricter environmental laws. Fifth, companies must adopt new technologies such as carbon capture and hydrogen energy. Now let's go briefly to the pestle analysis. Pestle analysis of climate regulation in the oil and gas industry. One, the political. Political governments enforcing policies like the Paris Agreement. Economic, high carbon High carbon prices increase production costs. Social, public demand for cleaner energy rising. Technological, growth in solar, wind, and carbon capture technologies. Legal, new regulations and environmental laws. Real life example. In Ghana, increased awareness of climate change is encouraged people to adopt solar energy. And the Porter's five forces analysis. Using Porter's five forces analysis, threat of substitutes. High renewable energy like solar and wind is replacing fossil fuels. Competitive rival. High oil companies are competing by diversifying into renewable energy. Bargaining of power of buyers. Increasing customers prefers Increasing customers prefer cleaner energy options than bargaining power of suppliers. Moderate. Suppliers of renewable technology are becoming more important. Threats of new entrants. Moderate renewable energy companies can enter the market more easily than traditional oil companies. Then real life example. Solar companies in Ghana are emerging as strong competitors to traditional energy providers. In Ghana, Many households and business now use solar panels due to high electricity costs. This reduces demand for fossil fuels and affects oil companies. Firm level analysis, that's using the Shell public company. Using Shell's annual reports, the company clearly acknowledges climate changes as a major risk. Shell introduced a strategy called Power Progress, aiming to achieve net zero emission by 2050. The company, the company the company is investing in renewable energy, expanding electric vehicles, charging, developing hydrogen energy using carbon capture technologies. In 2023, Shell invested billions in low carbon energy, although oil and gas still dominate in revenue. Shell also uses internal carbon pricing, meaning meaning it factors future carbon costs into investment decisions. In terms of financial performance, Shell made very high profits in 2022, profits reduced in 2023 due to market changes and taxes. Assessment: Shell's response is proactive but not fully sufficient, as it still depends heavily on fossil fuels. Real life example: Shell fuel stations may eventually include EV charging points, showing a gradual shift from fuel to clean energy. Strategic evaluation. At the industry level, companies are adapting but not fast enough to meet global climate goals. Using strategic analysis, oil companies have strong resources but struggle to compete in renewable energy. There is a gap between current capabilities and future needs. For Shell Company, the company understands the problem sense, but full transformation, reconfiguring it, is still ongoing. Future challenges include climate litigation, stricter regulations, technological disruption, physical climate risks. Real life example: a transport company may know electric vehicles are better, but still uses diesel due to cost, similar to oil companies balancing profit and sustainability. In conclusion, climate regulation and carbon pricing are reshaping the oil and gas industry. Policies like the Paris Agreement are increasing costs and accelerating the shift to renewable energy. The case of Shell PLC shows that companies are adapting, but the pace is still slow. Ultimately, firms that invest early in clean energy and adapt their strategies will remain competitive in the future. Thank you.